The greenhouse smelled like wet soil and growing things. Lucy pressed her small hands against the glass wall and watched the purple sky of Talon 7 fade into evening. Behind her, Grunt snuffled through a pile of empty seed containers, looking for interesting smells. "Stop making a mess," Lucy said without turning around. She heard him knock over another container. Grunt, seriously. The honey badger ignored her, as usual. He was 3 years old now, which her mom said was fully grown for his kind. Lucy had been 5 when the research ship brought him to the colony. Just a tiny kid back then, scared and alone in a transport cage. She remembered pushing her fingers through the mesh, feeling his wet nose touch her skin. Her mom said honey badgers were dangerous animals from Earth. Lucy said he just needed a friend. Now Grunt followed her everywhere. To school in the mornings, to the greenhouse after lunch, even to the bathroom sometimes, which was embarrassing when other kids visited. "Lucy, time to wash up for dinner," her mom called from the lab section. Dr. Rebecca Brennan was bent over a microscope, studying some native plant sample. She did that a lot. The whole colony was here to study if Talon 7 could support Earth crops someday. Lucy walked toward the door, and Grunt trotted after her. His claws clicked on the metal floor. He was low to the ground, muscular under his thick fur, with a white stripe running from his head down his back. Other kids thought he looked funny. Lucy thought he was perfect. They stepped outside into the cool evening air. The colony wasn't very big. Just 20 buildings arranged in a circle, with farmland on one side and forest on the other. 200 people lived here, mostly scientists and their families. The nearest other human settlement was 3 months away by ship. Lucy liked it that way. Quiet. Safe. Home. "Did you check the perimeter sensors?" her mom asked, catching up to them. "Not my job," Lucy said. "I know, sweetie. Just asking." Her mom looked tired. She always looked tired lately. There's been some strange readings. Probably just atmospheric interference, but stay close to the buildings for a few days. Okay. Okay, Lucy lied. She had a secret spot in the forest, just past the safe zone. A little clearing where weird flowers grew, the kind that glowed at night. She went there to think sometimes. Grunt loved chasing the small creatures that lived in the bushes. They walked toward the dining hall. Other families were heading the same way. Mr. Peterson waved at them. His daughter Amy made a face at Grunt. The honey badger didn't care about human opinions. Inside, the dining hall buzzed with conversation. Lucy grabbed a tray and loaded it with synthesized vegetables and protein paste. It didn't taste as good as real Earth food, but she'd never actually eaten real Earth food, so she didn't know the difference. She sat at a corner table. Grunt settled under her chair, waiting for drop scraps. Lucy's mom joined him a few minutes later. "How was school?" her mom asked. "Fine. We learned about Earth geography. Did you know there used to be big cats called lions?" "I didn't know that, yes. They lived in places called savannas." The teacher said honey badgers live there too. She said they fought lions sometimes. Her mom smiled. "Honey badgers are very brave. Very stubborn too." Lucy dropped a piece of protein paste under the table. Grunt ate it immediately. The evening felt normal. Boring even. People ate and talked about crop yields and soil composition. Someone mentioned that supply ship was late again. Someone else complained about the water recycling system. Then the alarms went off. Loud, piercing sounds that made Lucy drop her fork. Red lights flashed along the walls. Everyone stopped eating. Conversations died mid-sentence. "What is that?" someone asked. The colony administrator rushed in, face pale. "Unknown ships approaching. Multiple contacts. Everyone to the shelters now." Chaos erupted instantly. Chairs scraped. Trays clattered to the floor. Parents grabbed children. Lucy's mom seized her hand, pulling her toward the emergency exit. "Mom, what's happening?" "I don't know, baby. Just stay with me." But the crowd pushed between them. Too many people trying to fit through the door at once. Someone's elbow caught Lucy in the shoulder. She stumbled, lost her grip on her mom's hand. "Mom!" "Lucy, stay right there. I'm coming back." The crowd swept her mom away toward the shelters. Lucy tried to follow, but more people blocked her path. She was small, easy to overlook in the panic. Then she heard the sound. A horrible screeching roar from outside. Metal tearing. Explosions. The wall exploded inward. Chunks of metal and plastic flew across the dining hall. Lucy screamed and dove under the nearest table. Smoke filled the room. Through the hole in the wall, she saw shapes moving. Big shapes, not human shapes. Aliens. They wore dark armor and carried weapons that glowed with green energy. Reptilian faces with yellow eyes. 6 of them poured through the breach, shouting in a language Lucy didn't understand. People ran in every direction. The aliens fired their weapons. Green bolts of light hit Mr. Peterson, and he collapsed. Not dead, Lucy realized. Stunned, paralyzed, they were capturing people. Lucy crawled backward, away from the aliens. Her heart hammered so hard it hurt. Where was her mom? Where were the colony defenders? A scaled hand reached under the table toward her. Grunt hit the alien like a missile. The honey badger appeared from nowhere, all fury and teeth. He clamped onto the alien's arm and shook his head violently. The creature screamed and tried to shake him off. Grunt held on, growling deep in his throat. Lucy didn't wait. She scrambled out from under the table and ran for the back exit. Grunt released the alien and bounded after her. Behind them, more aliens poured into the colony. More screams echoed through the settlement. Lucy burst out into the night and ran toward the only place she could think of. The forest, her secret spot. The place her mom told her to avoid. Lucy ran faster than she'd ever run in her life. Grunt kept pace beside her, his eyes fixed forward, his body coiled with readiness. She could hear them behind her. Heavy footsteps. Alien voices shouting. They were following her specifically. Lucy hit the tree line and kept running, branches whipping at her face. The forest swallowed them both. Somewhere behind, the colony burned. Somewhere in that chaos, her mom was trapped or captured or worse. But Lucy couldn't think about that now. She could only run, and Grunt could only follow. Together, they plunged deeper into the darkness, while alien hunters crashed through the undergrowth in pursuit. Lucy's lungs burned. Tree roots tried to trip her with every step. The forest on Talon, 7 was different from Earth forests, at least from what she'd seen in school videos. The trees had smooth purple bark and leaves that rustled even without wind. Small creatures scattered as she crashed through the undergrowth. Grunt stayed right beside her, his low body sliding under branches that caught at Lucy's clothes. She could still hear the aliens behind them. Not close, but not far enough either. Their voices carried through the trees, harsh and clicking. Lucy knew these woods a little. Not well, but better than the aliens did. She'd explored here dozens of times, always staying within an hour's walk of the colony. Her secret clearing was somewhere ahead, maybe 20 minutes if she didn't get lost. Something whistled past her ear. A bolt of green energy splashed against a tree trunk, leaving a smoking mark. They were shooting at her. Stop running, small creature. A voice called out in rough but understandable English. We will not harm you. You are valuable merchandise. Merchandise. The word made Lucy's stomach twist. These weren't explorers or traders. They were slavers. She'd heard stories about them in school, warnings about the dangerous parts of the galaxy. She pushed herself to run faster. Her legs ached. Sweat soaked her shirt despite the cool night air. Another energy bolt, closer this time. It hit the ground near Grunt, who snarled but didn't slow down. The animal is irrelevant, a different alien voice said. Stun it and take the child. 3 shapes burst from the trees to Lucy's right. Tall reptilian creatures in dark armor, yellow eyes glowing in the darkness. The closest one raised its weapon toward Grunt. The honey badger turned to face them. Lucy wanted to scream at him to run, to hide, to do anything except charge at armed aliens. But Grunt didn't know how to run away. That wasn't in his nature, but he launched himself at the nearest hunter with a speed that shocked even Lucy. The alien tried to track him with its weapon, but Grunt was already too close, too fast. He clamped onto the creature's hand, right where it held the weapon. The alien shrieked. Its weapon clattered to the ground. Grunt's jaws were incredibly strong, designed to crack bones and tear through thick hide. The hunter tried to shake him off, stumbling backward. The other 2 hunters moved to help their companion. One raised its weapon toward Grunt. Lucy grabbed a rock and threw it as hard as she could. It bounced off the alien's helmet, doing no damage but getting its attention. "Leave him alone," Lucy shouted, the alien's yellow eyes fixed on her. It said something in its clicking language. The third hunter moved to circle around, trying to flank her. Grunt released the first hunter's mangled hand and went for its throat instead. The alien fell backward with Grunt on top of it, both of them rolling in the dirt. The honey badger's teeth found soft scales under the armor's edge. The second hunter fired its weapon at Grunt. The green energy hit him square in the side. Grunt yelped but didn't let go. He shook his head, tearing at the alien's throat. Dark blood sprayed across the purple grass. "What is that creature?" the third hunter hissed. The database said Earth animals were primarily docile. "Your database is incomplete," the second hunter said. It fired again at Grunt, hitting him twice more. Grunt finally released the dying alien and turned toward his new attacker. His fur was singed from the energy blasts. Lucy could see burns on his skin, but he didn't retreat. He didn't even seem to feel the pain. He charged again. The hunter backed up, firing repeatedly. Each bolt hit Grunt, would have dropped any normal animal. But honey badgers weren't normal animals. Their skin was thick, loose, resistant to bites and stings. Their pain tolerance was legendary, and their aggression was unmatched. Grunt reached the second hunter and went low, clawing at its legs. The alien stumbled. Grunt climbed up its body like it was a tree, heading for the face. The third hunter grabbed Lucy from behind. She screamed and kicked, but the alien was much stronger. It lifted her off the ground, pinning her arms to her sides. "Got the target," it said into a communicator on its wrist. "Requesting support. The animal is more dangerous than anticipated." Grunt heard Lucy scream. He abandoned the second hunter immediately, leaving it bleeding on the ground. He turned toward Lucy and the third hunter with murder in his small eyes. "Stay back, animal," the hunter said, raising its weapon with its free hand while holding Lucy with the other. "I will kill the child if you attack." Grunt didn't understand English. Or maybe he understood, but didn't care. He gathered himself to spring. Lucy made herself go limp, becoming dead weight in the alien's grip. It worked. The hunter's hold loosened just slightly as it tried to adjust her position. Lucy bit down on the alien's arm as hard as she could. He howled and dropped her. Lucy hit the ground hard, knocking the wind from her lungs. But she rolled away, gasping for air. Grunt hit the third hunter like a furry cannonball. They went down together, the alien's weapon flying into the bushes. Lucy heard awful sounds. Tearing, screaming, wet crunching noises she'd never forget. She forced herself to stand. Her whole body shook. Two aliens lay motionless on the ground. The third was still struggling with Grunt, but losing badly. Lucy heard more voices in the distance. More hunters coming. Lots of them. "Grunt," she called weakly. "We have to go." The honey badger made a final terrible sound and went still. For a horrible second, Lucy thought he was dead. Then he climbed off the third alien and trotted to her side. His muzzle was dark with alien blood. His fur was burned and matted, but his eyes were bright and alert. "Come on," Lucy whispered. They ran again, leaving 3 dead or dying aliens behind them. Lucy's mind reeled. Grunt had killed them. Her sweet, goofy companion who ate scraps under the dinner table had just killed 3 armed alien hunters. She'd always known honey badgers were tough. The teacher said they fought lions. But seeing it was different. Grunt wasn't just brave. He was absolutely fearless, absolutely relentless. And he'd done it to protect her. Lucy ran until her secret clearing appeared ahead. The glowing flowers cast a soft blue light across the small space. She collapsed in the center, gasping for breath. Grunt circled the clearing, checking for threats. He limped slightly on one front leg. "Come here," Lucy said. "Let me see." Grunt approached and let her examine the burns on his side. They looked bad. The fur was singed away, showing red, blistered skin underneath. Lucy's hands trembled as she touched the wounds gently. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry." Grunt licked her hand, his way of saying it was okay. Behind them, in the forest, flashlights bobbed between the trees. More hunters, searching for them. Lucy heard voices, angry now, ordering a full sweep of the area. "Bring heavy weapons," one voice commanded. "That animal is designated extreme threat. Kill on sight." Lucy hugged Grunt close, feeling his rapid heartbeat against her chest. They weren't safe here. They'd never be safe while the hunters remained on Talon. 7. But Lucy was just a child, and Grunt was just one honey badger, already injured. Against an army of alien slavers, what chance did they have? The glowing flowers died out as clouds covered Talon 7's two moons. Lucy sat in darkness, listening to the hunters spread through the forest. They were organized now, moving in a grid pattern, calling coordinates to each other. Grunt's breathing sounded rough. The burns were hurting him more than he showed. Lucy tore a strip from her shirt and tried to wrap the worst wound, but the honey badger wouldn't stay still long enough. "Please," she whispered, "just let me help." A twig snapped somewhere close. Too close that Grunt's ears pricked forward. He'd heard it too. Lucy held her breath, trying to become invisible in the darkness. Footsteps crunched through the undergrowth, slow and methodical. A light swept across the clearing, missing them by inches. Lucy pressed herself flat against the ground, one hand on Grunt's back to keep him quiet. The hunter moved past their position, continuing its search pattern. Lucy waited until the footsteps faded before she dared to breathe again. "We can't stay here," she whispered to Grunt. But where could they go? The colony was captured or destroyed. The forest was full of hunters. Lucy knew there were caves somewhere to the east, old lava tubes from when Talon 7 had active volcanoes. Her mom had mentioned them once during a geological survey discussion. Caves meant shelter, hiding places, maybe even a way to lose their pursuers. Lucy stood slowly, every muscle protesting. Grunt rose with her, favoring his injured leg, but ready to move. They crept to the clearing's edge and paused. Lucy tried to remember which direction was east. The moons were still hidden, no stars to navigate by. She'd have to guess. She chose a direction and started walking, keeping low, moving as quietly as possible. Grunt followed, his paws nearly silent on the soft ground. They traveled for what felt like hours, but was probably only 30 minutes. The voices of the hunters faded behind them. Maybe they'd actually escaped. Maybe they could hide until human authorities arrived. Colonies had emergency beacons. Someone would notice Talon. 7 had gone dark. Lucy stepped around a large tree and stopped dead. A ravine opened up before her, dropping away into black nothing. She nearly walked right off the edge. "Okay," she breathed. New plan. She turned to backtrack, and lights appeared in the trees behind her. Lots of lights. The hunters had spread wide and were closing in like a net. Lucy looked down into the ravine. In daylight, she knew there was a path. Her mom had shown her once, pointing out the geological formations. Stable rocks forming a natural staircase down to the cave system below. In darkness, it would be suicide to try climbing down. The lights grew closer. Voices called out, coordinating positions. Target area identified. Thermal scans showed 2 heat signatures at the east ravine. They knew exactly where she was. Lucy made a choice. She sat down at the ravine's edge and felt around with her feet until she found the first rock. It held her weight. She found the next one, then the next. "Grunt, stay close," she whispered. The honey badger understood danger, if not words. He followed her down, his claws gripping the rocks better than her shoes could. Lucy descended slowly, testing each step. The hunter's lights appeared at the ravine's top edge. They'd reached her last position. "There," one shouted, climbing down. "We have them trapped." Energy bolts rained down, splashing against rocks near Lucy's head. She pressed herself against the ravine wall, making herself as small as possible. Grunt snarled up at the hunters, fearless even while clinging to a rock face with a sheer drop below. "Bring the gravity packs," someone ordered. 2 units for aerial pursuit. Lucy climbed faster, no longer caring about caution. Rocks crumbled under her feet. She slipped twice, catching herself at the last second. Grunt climbed beside her, somehow managing the descent despite his injuries. Above, 2 hunters stepped off the ravine edge. They wore packs that glowed blue, generating anti-gravity fields. They descended smoothly, weapons trained on Lucy. She was still 40 feet from the bottom. No way to outclimb them. Grunt made a decision for both of them. He leaped from the rock face toward the nearest flying hunter. No! Lucy screamed, but Grunt had already committed. He sailed through empty air and crashed into the hunter's chest. The alien's eyes went wide with shock. They tumbled together, the gravity pack unable to compensate for Grunt's sudden weight and thrashing. Both plummeted past Lucy, spinning wildly. The hunter screamed. Grunt made no sound at all. They hit the ravine floor with a wet crunch. Lucy couldn't see the result in the darkness, but the hunter's screaming stopped abruptly. The second flying hunter adjusted course, diving toward where Grunt had fallen. It was a mistake. It took its attention off Lucy. She didn't think, just acted, grabbed a loose rock and threw it with everything she had. The rock hit the hunter's gravity pack. Sparks flew. The blue glow flickered and died. The hunter fell, realizing too late what had happened. It tried to grab onto the ravine wall, but missed. Fell all the way down, crashing hard somewhere in the darkness below. Lucy clung to the rock face, shaking so badly she could barely hold on. Had Grunt survived the fall? Had she just watched her only friend die? Grunt, she called into the darkness. Please be okay. A familiar grunt echoed up from below. Alive. He was alive. Lucy nearly sobbed with relief. She finished the climb down, moving faster now despite her exhaustion. The ravine floor was uneven, covered in loose rocks and debris. Lucy found Grunt standing over the broken body of the first hunter. The second hunter lay nearby, groaning weakly. Grunt himself had somehow survived the fall. Lucy didn't understand how. Any normal animal would have died from that impact. But honey badgers had incredibly thick skin, loose enough to absorb impacts that would shatter bones and other creatures. He limped toward her, and Lucy hugged him so tight he wheezed. "You're crazy," she whispered. "You're absolutely crazy." Above, at the ravine's edge, more lights appeared. A dozen hunters stared down at them. The animal survived a 100-foot fall, one said in disbelief. "What species is this?" "Irrelevant," another snapped. "We're going down there properly. Get ropes and climbing gear. Lock down both ends of the ravine. They cannot escape." Lucy looked around desperately. In the dim light from above, she could see a dark opening in the ravine wall. The caves. They were right there. She grabbed Grunt and ran for the opening. They plunged into absolute darkness, Lucy's hands outstretched to feel for walls. The cave floor sloped downward. Cool air flowed past them, meaning the tunnels went deep. Behind them, ropes dropped into the ravine. Professional hunters rappelled down efficiently. Lucy and Grunt went deeper into the cave system, leaving the light behind. She had no idea where these tunnels led or if they trapped themselves in a dead end. But staying above meant certain capture. Her foot hit something hard. She nearly tripped, caught herself, and felt around in the darkness. Her fingers touched metal. Smooth, manufactured metal, an old survey marker. The kind her mom's team left when exploring new areas. Lucy's heart leaped. She felt along the marker's surface, finding buttons by touch. She pressed them in sequence, the way her mom had shown her during a training exercise. The marker beeped softly. A tiny light flickered on, showing a scratched display screen. Emergency beacon activated. Signal transmitting. Estimated response time. 3 days. 3 days. Lucy nearly laughed. 3 days was forever when hunters were already entering the caves behind her. But maybe the beacon would bring help eventually. Maybe her mom could tell the rescuers where to look. If Lucy survived 3 days, she heard the hunters entering the cave, their lights bouncing off tunnel walls. They had thermal imaging, tracking equipment, overwhelming numbers. Lucy took Grunt's collar and pulled him deeper into the darkness. The cave smelled like minerals and stale air. Lucy's eyes adjusted to the darkness enough to see vague shapes, but not much more. She kept one hand on the wall and the other on Grunt's back as they moved deeper. Behind them, lights swept through the tunnels. The hunters' voices echoed strangely, making it hard to tell how close they were. Spread out. Check every tunnel branch. They cannot have gone far. Lucy found a side passage and ducked into it. The tunnel narrowed, forcing her to crouch. Grunt squeezed through easily, his low body designed for tight spaces. They emerged into a larger chamber. Crystals grew from the walls, reflecting the faint glow of some kind of bioluminescent fungus. It gave just enough light to see by. Lucy sank to the ground, exhausted beyond anything she'd ever felt. Her legs were jelly. Her hands were scraped raw from the climb. And Grunt looked even worse. The burns on his side were oozing. His breathing was labored. "We need water," Lucy whispered. She listened carefully and heard a faint trickling sound somewhere deeper in the chamber. She found a small stream running along the far wall. The water was cold and tasted slightly metallic, but it was better than nothing. Lucy cupped her hands and drank, then helped Grunt drink too. She used more water to clean his burns as gently as possible. Grunt tolerated it stoically, only flinching when she touched the worst spots. "I'm sorry," Lucy said again. "This is all my fault. I should have stayed in the greenhouse." Grunt licked her face. "Not your fault." The gesture seemed to say that the sound echoed through the chamber. Footsteps, multiple sets, moving with military precision that Lucy's blood ran cold. These weren't the regular hunters crashing through the caves. These were different. More controlled .4 figures entered the chamber. They wore heavier armor than the others, matte black that absorbed light. Their weapons were larger, more sophisticated. One of them carried a device that projected a holographic display. "Heat signatures confirmed," the leader said. Its voice was calmer than the other hunters, almost bored. "Target and hostile creature located." The leader studied Grunt with professional interest. Cross-referenced the animal. "I want to know what we're dealing with." One of the others manipulated the holographic display. Data scrolled past. After a moment, it spoke. "Earth origin. Species, Malivera capensis. Common name, honey badger. Database classification, minor threat level, generally docile." The leader looked at the dead hunters they'd passed in the tunnels. "That database needs updating. This creature has killed 17 of our personnel." 17? One of the elites said. "That's impossible. It weighs maybe 15 kilograms. Impossible or not, study the footage." The leader projected images from their helmet cameras. Lucy saw Grunt's attacks from the alien perspective, saw how he moved, how he fought, how he simply refused to stop no matter how many times he was hit. The elite hunters watched in silence. "It doesn't feel pain," one observed. "It feels pain," the leader corrected. "It just doesn't care." Note the species characteristics: thick skin, loose hide, extremely aggressive temperament. They're from Earth's African continent. Evolution made them to survive in one of the most dangerous environments on that planet. "The child is the priority," another elite said. "Kill the animal and secure the target." Lucy's hands clenched into fists. They were talking about Grunt like he was already dead. The leader raised its weapon. "Agreed. On my mark." Grunt stepped in front of Lucy. Even injured, even facing 4 professional killers with advanced weapons, he positioned himself between the threat and the child he'd chosen to protect. The leader paused. "Remarkable loyalty for such a small creature." "Irrelevant," one of its companions said. Taking the shot, Lucy did the only thing she could think of. She grabbed a crystal from the wall and threw it at their equipment. It shattered against the holographic projector, sending sparks everywhere. The chamber plunged into darkness as the light source died. Grunt didn't need light to attack. He knew where the enemies were by sound and smell. Lucy heard him launch forward, heard the startled curse from one of the elites. Energy weapons fired, lighting up the chamber in green flashes. Lucy saw snapshots of the fight. Grunt on one elite's chest, claws tearing at armor seals. Another elite trying to line up a shot. The leader deploying some kind of energy barrier. Lucy crawled backward toward the stream, trying to get away from the combat. An energy bolt hit the wall near her head, showering her with rock fragments. Grunt yelped. They'd hit him again, but he didn't stop fighting. The elite hunters were better than the regular ones. Trained, coordinated, equipped with gear designed for capturing dangerous prey. But they'd never fought anything like a honey badger before. Grunt was everywhere at once. Too fast, too low to the ground, too aggressive to predict. When they tried to surround him, he'd go for the closest one with such ferocity that the others had to back off or risk hitting their teammate. Point one of the elites went down, throat torn open. The others adjusted tactics immediately, switching to wide-area stun weapons instead of precision shots. Blue energy washed over the chamber. Lucy felt it hit her, felt her muscles lock up. She collapsed, unable to move, barely able to breathe. Grunt staggered but kept fighting. His metabolism processed the stun charge faster than it should have been possible. Within seconds, he was moving again, launching himself at the leader. The leader deployed an energy net. It wrapped around Grunt mid-leap, pulling tight. The honey badger thrashed and twisted, but the net held. Got it, the leader said. Secure the child. Lucy tried to move, but her body wouldn't respond to her commands. She could only watch as one of the elites approached her. Then the chamber shook. Not an earthquake. Something else. A deep, rhythmic pounding from deeper in the cave system. The elite hunters froze, listening. The pounding grew louder. Closer. What is that? One asked. The leader checked its scanner. Multiple large contacts. Moving fast. Very fast. The wall exploded inward. Not a cave-in. A deliberate breach. A mining mech, one of the massive machines the colony used for excavation, crashed through the crystal wall. Then another. And another. Human military forces poured through the openings. Soldiers in combat armor, weapons raised, moving with the efficiency of professional troops. The colonial security force had arrived. Drop your weapons, the lead soldier shouted. You're surrounded. The elite hunters hesitated for only a second before complying. They were killers and slavers, but they weren't stupid. 20 human soldiers with military-grade weapons versus 3 wounded hunters with a captured child? The math was bad. Lucy felt the stun effect wearing off. She managed to turn her head and saw her mother rushing toward her, still wearing her lab coat, tears streaming down her face. Lucy! Oh God, Lucy! Her mom gathered her up, holding her so tight Lucy could barely breathe. But she didn't care. She was safe. They were safe. Grunt! Lucy managed to gasp. Help Grunt! Soldiers were already cutting him free from the energy net. The honey badger staggered free. Disoriented and injured but alive, he limped to Lucy and her mother, pressed himself against Lucy's leg, and finally let himself collapse. Medical team, a soldier called. We need treatment for the child and the animal. Lucy's mom lifted her, cradling her like she was 5 years old again. Medics surrounded them, scanning for injuries, already preparing treatments. Lucy looked back at Grunt as they carried him on a stretcher toward the mining mechs. His eyes were closed. His breathing was shallow, but he was breathing that they'd survived. The medical bay was too bright. Lucy squinted against the lights while a doctor examined her cuts and bruises. Her mom sat beside her, holding her hand like she might disappear if she let go. Minor abrasions, mild dehydration, shock, the doctor said, checking readings on a handheld scanner. She's remarkably uninjured considering what she went through. Where's Grunt? Lucy asked for the 10th time. Surgery, her mom said gently. The vets are working on him now. Can I see him? Not yet, sweetie. They need to stabilize him first. Lucy wanted to argue, but exhaustion won. She closed her eyes and immediately saw alien hunters, energy weapons, Grunt falling through darkness. She jerked awake. It's okay, her mom whispered. You're safe now. I've got you. The colony had survived barely. The slavers had captured 40 people before the security forces drove them off. Another dozen were injured. 3 had died in the initial attack, but most had escaped to the shelters. And the emergency beacon Lucy activated had helped the rescue forces locate her specifically. You were very brave, her mom said, and very, very stupid to run into the forest. They were going to take me. I know. Her mom's voice broke. I know, baby. I'm not angry. I'm just grateful you're alive. A commotion outside the medical bay drew their attention. Angry voices. Someone shouting. The door opened and a colonial security officer entered, looking uncomfortable. Dr. Brennan, we need to discuss the animal. Lucy's mom stiffened. What about him? The honey badger killed 17 enemy combatants, injured 23 more. Command is concerned about having such a dangerous creature in the colony. Grunt isn't dangerous, Lucy said immediately. The officer gave her a sympathetic look. Miss, with all respect, that animal is extremely lethal. We've reviewed the combat footage. What it did to those hunters was brutal. They were trying to kidnap me. We understand that. But regulations state that any animal demonstrating extreme aggression must be evaluated. If it's deemed a threat to colonists, it will be humanely euthanized. Lucy felt like she'd been punched. No, you can't kill him. Her mom stood, placing herself between Lucy and the officer. That honey badger saved my daughter's life. He protected her when we couldn't. You will not touch him. Ma'am, I don't make the rules. Then take me to whoever does. The argument continued, but Lucy stopped listening. They want to kill Grunt. After everything he'd done, after all the pain he'd endured, they wanted to put him down because he was too dangerous. Lucy slipped off the examination table while they were distracted and slipped out the door. The Colony Medical Center wasn't large. She found a veterinary section quickly by following the sound of concerned voices. Through a window, she saw Grunt on an operating table. 2 veterinary doctors worked on him, their instruments precise and careful. His chest rose and fell steadily. Alive, Lucy pressed her hand against the glass point. One of the vets noticed her and came to the door. You shouldn't be here, kid. Is he okay? The vet sighed. Honestly, he shouldn't be. The burns alone should have killed him. Add in the falls, the energy weapon impacts, the physical trauma. Any normal animal would be dead 10 times over. But he's not normal. No, the vet agreed. He's really not. His physiology is remarkable. Thick skin, extremely tough hide, a pain tolerance that's off the charts. We've been studying Earth animals for years, but honey badgers are something special. Are you going to kill him? The vet looked uncomfortable. That's not my decision. He saved me, Lucy said quietly. Those hunters wanted to take me away and sell me. Grunt fought them all. He never gave up. He never ran away. Even when he was hurt, he kept protecting me. I know, kid. I saw the reports. So why would you kill him for that? For being loyal? For being brave? The vet had no answer. Lucy stood at that window for an hour, watching the vet's work. Eventually, her mom found her and started to pull her away, but Lucy refused to move. I'm staying until he wakes up. Sweetie, that could be hours. I don't care. Her mom looked at her daughter's face and recognized that expression. Por esta bornes. The same expression she saw when Lucy had insisted on keeping Grunt 3 years ago. Okay, her mom said softly. We'll wait together. They sat on a bench outside the surgical room. Other colonists passed by, whispering, pointing. Lucy Brennan and her killer honey badger. The story was already spreading. 2 hours later, the vets emerged. He's stable, the lead vet announced. Sedated but stable. The burns will heal. The other injuries are already healing faster than we expected. He should make a full recovery. Can I see him? Lucy asked. The vet hesitated, then nodded. 5 minutes. Don't touch anything. Lucy entered the recovery room. Grunt lay on a padded table, breathing steadily. Bandages covered his burns, and 4 dripped fluids into his leg. He looked small, vulnerable, not like the fierce protector who'd faced down armed hunters. Lucy carefully touched his paw. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for keeping me safe. Grunt's eyes flickered open, unfocused at first, then finding Lucy. His tail twitched slightly. You're going to be okay, Lucy promised. And I won't let them hurt you. I promise. The colony commander arrived that evening. A stern woman named Harris who'd served in 3 frontier campaigns. She stood in the medical bay and studied Grunt through the window. 17 confirmed kills, she said, against armed opponents. That's a better combat record than some soldiers I've known. Commander, please, Lucy's mom began. Harris raised a hand. Let me finish. I've reviewed the footage. I've read the reports. And I've consulted with Earth wildlife experts via quantum comm. She turned to face Lucy directly. That honey badger didn't attack colonists. Didn't go berserk. Didn't show any aggression except toward threats. Every single action was defensive, Protecting you. So you won't kill him? Lucy asked, afraid to hope. Kill him? Miss Brennan, I'm recommending he receive a Colonial Service Medal. That animal is a hero. Lucy's legs went weak with relief. Her mom caught her, holding her up. There is one condition, Harris continued. We need to establish protocols. Training. Make sure this doesn't happen again. It won't, Lucy said quickly. I'll be more careful. I'll stay in the safe zones. That's not what I mean. Harris's expression softened slightly. The galaxy needs to know about honey badgers, about what they're capable of. Those slavers thought they were capturing a child with a harmless pet. They learned differently. She pulled up a holographic display showing a galactic database entry. Species, Malivera capensis. Threat level, negligible. This is wrong, Harris said, and we're going to fix it. When word spreads about what happened here, when other species learn about honey badgers, they'll think twice before targeting human colonies. Lucy looked at Grunt sleeping peacefully on his recovery table, her best friend, her protector, the small creature who'd faced impossible odds and won. He's really special, Lucy said softly. He really is, Harris agreed. Now, I'll get some rest. Both of you have a lot of healing to do. 3 months passed like a slow dream. The colony rebuilt what the slavers had destroyed. Families returned to their routines. The greenhouses flourished again under careful tending. Grunt healed faster than the doctors expected. Within 2 weeks, he was walking normally. Within 4, the burns had faded to pink scars under his fur. Within 6, he was back to his old self, snuffling through the greenhouse and stealing food scraps. Lucy stayed closer to the colony now. Not because she was afraid, but because she'd learned her lesson. Adventures were fun until they turned deadly. She sat in the greenhouse on a sunny afternoon, reading from her school tablet while Grunt dozed in a patch of warm light. Her mom worked nearby, cataloging new plant samples. Everything felt normal, safe, like the attack had never happened, except Lucy woke up screaming twice a week. And Grunt never let her out of his sight for more than a few minutes. Some scars didn't show on the outside that a message came through on the colony's main communication system. Lucy's mom checked it and smiled. Lucy, come here. You need to see this. Lucy set down her tablet and walked over. Her mom pulled up a galactic news feed, translating the alien text into English. Warning, updated threat assessment. Earth FUNA. The article detailed the attack on Talon 7. It described Grunt's defensive actions in clinical terms. Kill count, injury ratio, tactical efficiency. Then it showed the updated database entry. Species, Malivera capensis, common name honey badger. Threat level, extreme caution. Despite small size, demonstrates fearlessness, exceptional pain tolerance, and protective aggression exceeding most apex predators. Do not engage if protecting bonded companions. Lethal force authorized for self-defense if encountered in hostile situations. They're warning people about honey badgers, Lucy said, amazed. Not just honey badgers, her mom said, scrolling down. Look, the article continued, speculating about other Earth animals. If a honey badger could do this, what about larger predators? What about animals specifically bred for protection or combat? The galactic community was starting to reassess Earth entirely. We're getting requests, her mom said. Other colonies want to know about Earth animals. Some want to import them for protection. The military is interested too. Lucy looked down at Grunt, still sleeping peacefully. They want to use them as weapons. Some do, but mostly they just want to understand. Earth animals evolved in conditions most species can't imagine. They're tough in ways the galaxy hasn't seen before. A colonial security officer appeared at the greenhouse door. Lieutenant Davis, one of the people who'd helped rescue them. Sorry to interrupt, Dr. Brennan. The commander wants to see you both. They followed Davis to the administration building. Commander Harris waited in her office, along with several people Lucy didn't recognize. Military uniforms from different human colonies. Miss Brennan, Harris said formally. These officers represent the Colonial Defense Network. They'd like to ask you some questions about the incident. The next hour was strange. Military officers asking an 8-year-old about combat tactics and animal behavior. Lucy answered as best she could. though she kept insisting Grunt wasn't a weapon or a tool. "He's my friend," she said firmly. "He protected me because that's what friends do." One of the officers, a grizzled veteran named Stone, nodded approvingly. "That's the part they don't understand. The aliens, I mean, they see animals as resources or threats. But humans bond with them, form partnerships. Dogs," another officer said. "Horses, cats. Humans have been partnering with animals for thousands of years. And honey badgers?" Stone asked. "Normally too aggressive to domesticate," Lucy's mom said. But Grunt imprinted on Lucy as a kid. That created a bond stronger than training ever could. Stone leaned back in his chair. The slavers made a critical error. They saw a child with a pet. They didn't understand they were threatening family. Lucy liked Stone. He understood. The meeting ended with promises of protection for the colony and a formal commendation for Grunt. Lucy wasn't sure what a honey badger would do with a medal, but she accepted it on his behalf. That evening, she sat with Grunt in her room, showing him the shiny medal. "You're famous," she told him. "The whole galaxy knows about you now." Grunt sniffed the medal, decided it wasn't food, and lost interest. Lucy laughed and hugged him. "You don't care about any of that, do you? You just care about naps and food and keeping me safe." Grunt made a contented grunt sound. "Pretty much," yes, at a soft knock on her door. Her mom entered, holding a data pad. "I wanted to show you something," she said, sitting on Lucy's bed. "Messages from other colonies. People who heard what happened." She pulled up dozens of messages. Families thanking Grunt for showing the galaxy that human settlements weren't easy targets. Children who'd started keeping pictures of honey badgers. Scientists requesting information about Earth fauna. One message was from a colony that had been approached by slavers last week. The slavers had scanned the settlement, detected Earth animals among the colonists, and left without making contact. "They're afraid now," Lucy's mom said softly. "Afraid of what else we might have brought from Earth." "That's good, right?" Lucy asked. "It's complicated, but yes, it's good. You and Grunt changed how the galaxy sees us. Not as isolated colonists to be exploited, but as people who bring their friends with them. And those friends are fiercer than anyone expected." Lucy thought about that. About Grunt facing down hunters who should have killed him easily. About his refusal to abandon her even when injured and outnumbered. "Mom, why did he do it? Why did he keep fighting when he could have run away?" Her mom considered the question carefully. "I think because honey badgers don't know how to quit. Evolution made them that way. On Earth, they survive by being too tough, too stubborn, too aggressive to kill. They don't have fear like other animals do." "But it's more than that," Lucy insisted. "He fought for me specifically. He could have just defended himself." "You're right. That's the bond you built. He doesn't see you as a human child. He sees you as his family. And honey badgers protect their family absolutely." Grunt had climbed onto the bed and curled up against Lucy's side. His breathing was steady and peaceful. His scars were hidden under thick fur. To look at him, he seemed like a harmless pet. Small, kind of goofy, fond of naps, but Lucy knew better now. Knew what he was capable of when someone he loved was threatened. 6 months after the attack, Lucy returned to her secret clearing in the forest. Not alone and not without permission. Her mom came with her, along with 2 security officers who stayed at a respectful distance. The glowing flowers had grown wild in her absence. They lit the clearing with soft blue light. Lucy sat on a smooth rock and Grunt explored the bushes, snuffling for interesting scents. "I was so scared here," Lucy said quietly, "when the hunters were coming. I thought we were going to die." "But you didn't," her mom said. "You survived because you were smart and because Grunt was brave. The galaxy thinks he's dangerous now. He is dangerous. To threats. To people who would hurt those he loves. But that's not a bad thing, sweetie. Sometimes the galaxy needs to know we can't be pushed around." Lucy watched Grunt dig in the dirt, completely content and peaceful. "Do you think other colonies will get honey badgers?" she asked. "Maybe, but it won't be the same. Grunt bonded with you. That's special. You can't manufacture that." Across the galaxy, in slaver dens and criminal networks, a new understanding was forming. Human colonies were no longer soft targets. not because of advanced weapons or military might, but because humans brought pieces of Earth with them. And Earth was a death world that had produced creatures like honey badgers. Small, fearless, absolutely relentless. The Kravish Syndicate quietly removed human settlements from their target lists. Other slaver organizations followed suit. The risk wasn't worth the reward anymore. That I in the galactic database. Earth's threat assessment was quietly upgraded. Not because of human technology or aggression, but because of what humans chose to befriend. That if a honey badger could do this, what else was Earth hiding? Lucy stood and called the grunt. He bounded over immediately, tail wagging slightly. Together, they walked back toward the colony. A small girl and her smaller companion. The pair that had shown the galaxy what it meant to protect family. Above them, ships passed in the night sky. Trade vessels, colony transports, military patrols. And somewhere among them, a slaver ship changed course. Its captain had read the reports about Talon 7, about the honey badger that killed 17 armed hunters. The captain made a note in his log. Avoid human settlements. Unpredictable defensive assets. That he didn't know that the unpredictable asset was currently begging a little girl for snacks. Didn't know that the fierce protector spent most of his time sleeping in sunny spots. All he knew was that humans were different. They formed bonds that made no logical sense. They brought creatures from their death world and called them family. And those creatures would die before letting harm come to that family. Lucy reached the colony perimeter and paused, looking back at the forest one last time, that she'd been terrified there. Had run for her life. Had watched Grunt fight impossible odds. But she'd also learned something precious. That love and loyalty could overcome fear. That size didn't matter when courage was infinite. That her best friend was a hero, even if he'd never understand what that word meant. Grunt bumped against her leg, ready to go home. Lucy smiled and scratched behind his ears. Come on, hero. Let's get dinner. They walked into the colony together, casting long shadows in the setting sun. A girl and her honey badger. The team that changed how the galaxy saw Earth. And somewhere in the records, a simple note was being added to countless threat assessments. Do not engage human settlements unprepared. They protect their own.